like some super hip theme music right here.
Hey y'all, what it is, what it do, it's your boy Jay Smooth. Welcome to Smooth Customs. Today, it's not a very cool episode. It's actually one where I have to be changing a thermostat on the Lexus. So yesterday I was driving the car around and I started noticing it started to overheat while I was driving in the street. Got on the freeway, as soon as I got some speed up, starting to cool off. So yeah, so that is probably the thermostat. Worst case scenario, it might be the water pump, but I don't think so. Fingers crossed. I think it should just be the thermostat. So I went down to AutoZone and got myself a new thermostat and gasket and some radiator fluid, coolant. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and take this apart and get to the thermostat housing. All right, this one's not gonna be too pretty, but it's gotta get done. Alright, so this is the thermostat housing. So this is what I'm going to need to take out to replace the thermostat housing. And right now, I'm going to find the drain plug on this thing at the bottom of the radiator and drain the fluids out. So I busted the jack out to lift the car up a little bit to get me access, easier access to where I need to be at. Alright, so let's see. Maybe this angle. There it is. Alright, so this right here is on the bottom passenger side. That's the drain plug. Alright, now while I'm down here, I did notice that out of this plug, I don't know if you can see it right there, it's a very slight leak. So once I drain the fluids, I'm going to take that off, put some Teflon tape. Also, I noticed that I might have a small leak out of my oil pan. Or actually, maybe not the oil pan, but actually maybe my, it looks like where my oil filter, it might be leaking at my oil filter, or the oil pan or oil filter, one of these is leaking. So I think I'm gonna be able to, later on, the next project is I'm gonna change the gasket on the oil pan and change the oil. So that'll be the next project. Right now, we're gonna go ahead and drain the fluids from the radiator and let's get moving. There we go. All right, so the next part is I'm gonna use this 12 millimeter socket to take out the thermostat housing. Alright, so we got the thermostat housing off. And that is the thermostat right there. Alright, so that's the thermostat right there. And here's my replacement. You gotta make sure these things match. They're gonna fit in here. And that's it. You just pull that out. Easy as that. Got my gasket. Now, some people say you could reuse the gasket as long as it's okay, but I mean, this is an $8 part. The thermostat itself is like, this would cost like 22, so almost 30 bucks. Same as the OEM. I think I looked online, the OEM one was 30 as well. Alright. That looks like that fit right there. Sweet. I don't know. Usually what happens is this gets stuck, but I don't know. Let's see if that works. If not, I'm gonna have to get a new water pump if that's not the problem. So, yeah. Go ahead and close this up now. Alright, so it's time to put these nuts back in. I'm gonna hand tighten them first. So you don't want to tighten one side more than the other. You want to kind of spread it out so you get an equal tightness all the way around. Alright, feels good. I'm going to go ahead and put the drain plug back in. Alright, so the drain plug's back in. So what I'm doing is I'm going to lower this side, move the jack stand to the other side so that I can get to this plug. Well, I didn't even need a tool because this damn plug wasn't even tight. So I'm gonna tighten it. No wonder it was leaking from there. Alright, so now that I got the Teflon tape in, I'm gonna go ahead and put it back in. Alright, so I used the 3/4 for that. It was loose because I undid it with my hand, so now it's tight. Alright, now most cars have a radiator cap right here that allows you to fill it. The radiator once you've drained it. So I know that the radiator is drained. Now I'm looking at this and it says cooling system refueling procedures. After cooling system is emptied, fill with coolant approximate 6 liters through the filler hole front of engine and then reinstall coolant filter plug. I did that. Fill the reservoir with coolant, keep adding coolant, and see. So anyways, so I guess I'm assuming, because I'm honestly not a mechanic, I'm just a DIY guy, that if you take it to a shop, they have some way of pumping radiator fluid in through the bottom drain plug. I don't have that way of doing it, so I am just MacGyvering here. So if I'm wrong, or there's a better way of doing it, you guys are going to tell me on the internet, I'm sure. But the only way I'm thinking is I'm going to go ahead and loosen this hose, go ahead and put a drain in there and fill it from here. That's the way I know how to do it, because this right now, after I emptied out the radiator, this still has fluid in it. So I'm going to have to flush that out too as well. So let me try to figure this out and I'll get back. Alright, now I'm in uncharted territories, but this might not be the right way to do this, but I'm pulling the reservoir, the excess reservoir thing. I'm pulling that out, and I'm gonna go ahead and drain it out. Alright, that wasn't that bad. Alright, go ahead and dump it out. Alright, so something weird happened right now. The thermostat might have been good. Now that I'm looking at this, it's clogged right here. The return, it's clogged up. So when I pulled this off, I expected the radiator fluid to drip out of this, but it didn't. And further inspection shows me that it's clogged down here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pressure wash that out, get that cleared up, because that might be a reason also for this thing overheating. Combine the fact that it was leaking from the bottom on that plug. This was not circulating. The thermostat might have been fine. And it just didn't have, the water wasn't circulating through the radiator. So, you know, it could have been, but might as well be sure. I'm gonna clean this out. Okay, I just rinsed this out. I think that did it. It was clogged up with a bunch of stuff in there, and there was no water leaking out of this. So once I cleared it out, now we got it working. So that might have been part of the problem, really. Well, hopefully this thing runs good. I don't want it overheating after all this work I just put in. Alright, so what I'm doing is I stuck my pressure hose into the radiator and I'm flushing out all the fluid. Looks pretty good, but why is it draining on that side? Alright. Okay. Alright, so it's coming out clear, so that's good. That's a good sign. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. Alright. Yeah, sometimes it did come out a little dirty in the beginning, but now it's just coming out clear, which means it's cleaned out. So the problem, like I said, it could have been clogged, but this radiator looks in pretty good condition. So the excess radiator reservoir was clogged for sure. So now that that's out of the way, let's move on to the next step. Is we're gonna put some radiator fluid in here. All right, so I had to rethink the strategy. I'm gonna have to use this right here to put some fluid in the radiator. Work. Why does this car gotta be so complicated? All right, I think that about does it. I'm gonna attach this radiator hose back on. We're winning now. It's back in. Let's top this off a little bit. Now, per the instructions, you have 6 liters in, right? And then 1 liter with that. All right, so let's get the engine idling. I'm assuming that with the car running for 10 minutes, we might see this drop. Well, the good thing is to check the thermostat housing, make sure there's no leaks there. Looking good. Be careful now, because now the fan's running. Yeah, so you don't want to stick your hand in there. Drain plug should be good, shouldn't be leaking. It looks good, I don't see any leaks. The other side looks good, I don't see any leaks. Alright, so now that I see the car's running, the fluid is lowering in this excess reservoir. So that's good, that's a good sign. That means that the radiator fluid is moving throughout the engine. Alright, so once that drops for 10 minutes, I'm gonna add some more radiator fluid and that should be it. All right, so see you back in 10 minutes. All right, so I turned the car around because I didn't want to die of carbon monoxide poisoning. But all right, so the car's been running for 10 minutes, hasn't overheated. The reservoir seems to be full. Now, according to the instructions on this reservoir, it says now that I did that and I filled it in, it says keep adding coolant 3 liters in reservoir. Did that. Run engine at 2,000 to 2,500 RPMs for 5 minutes. Shut down engine and wait for coolant temperature to go down. Fill reservoir with coolant up to filler neck. Then reinstall cap. Alright. Let's do that. We're going to run this for about 5 minutes at 2,000 to 2,500 RPMs. So the time is 1:29. Let's run this for 5 minutes.
All hail to my favorite lady.
For 5 minutes. Alright. So it's been 5 minutes. I ran this at idle and look, not even halfway up. So perfect. I guess it's working. Now I gotta go outside and check the reservoir. See where the reservoir is at. Alright. So I have to add a little bit, not too much. That's good. All right, let me go ahead and turn the car off. this is full. Alright, so the instructions here say, alright, after running the engine for 5 minutes, shut down engine, wait until temperature goes down, fill reservoir with coolant until filler neck, then reinstall cap. So now I'm gonna wait for this to cool down and see how much more I gotta top this off with. Since everything seems to be looking good so far, I'm gonna go ahead and put this back on. Alright, so the car's been cooling off. I'm gonna take it out for a drive, but I'm pretty sure after sitting at idle for about 5 minutes at over 2,000 RPMs and the temperature gauge not even going over halfway, this car is good. We licked the problem. It might have been the thermostat. It might not have been the thermostat. It might have just been that clogged excess reservoir, but you know what? Who knows? Another thing I discovered while down there starting this thermostat exchange is that I should do an oil change because I have a small leak. I'm gonna go ahead and change the gasket on the oil pan and put a brand new oil filter just because I have a very small leak. I already checked the fluids. It was low just a little bit. I've only had this car for like 8 months maybe, so I checked the oil when I bought it and the oil seemed to have been recently changed. It looked pretty new, so I didn't go any further as far as like doubting it. The person that I bought it from had all the paperwork that had been serviced at a dealership and all that stuff, so you know the car drives good, everything. So I'll be doing that in the next video. It's not one of the fun videos, but hey, maybe this helps you out because I honestly looked all over the internet. I couldn't find not one video on how to change the thermostat on this thing. It's pretty standard actually. It wasn't too hard except for the fact that, you know, you saw that there wasn't a radiator cap on top of the radiator to fill it. That was the most complicated part about this, but I figured out a way to MacGyver that shit. That might not be the best way to do it or the correct way to do it, but hey, you gotta work with what you got. We're balling on a budget. This thing took me about 2 hours to do fully. It shouldn't take that long, but you know, it's my first time doing it on this car, so you know, I still saved myself at least anywhere between $150 to $300 that they would have got charged for this. Altogether with the thermostat, the gasket, and the coolant fluid, I spent about 60 bucks. So that's not bad. 2 hours, 60 bucks, and now I can feel confident that this thing's not gonna overheat on me on the road. So yeah, so that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see. Let me give you a sneak peek of what's coming up next. We got these VIP tables that are getting ready to get finished. That's gonna be in another episode. And also, I'm working on this Tahoe dash, and as you can see, we're about, I guess, more than halfway done. Just need some sanding, a little bit of Bondo, and then it's gonna be like paint and primer, but that's gonna get installed. You'll see that in an upcoming video. Thanks for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? Give it a thumbs up. Like, comment, subscribe. Hey, tell your friends about it. The channel is actually growing pretty good, at a pretty good rate. We're over 1,000 subscribers, and that's it. Take care, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna catch you on the next one soon. Peace.
I don't smoke but got 5 on it. Nigga, I lie, nigga, I'm on it. That shit fire and I want it. 2 dimes and I'm on it. That Mary, that Jane, them bitches giving me brain. I introduced them to Molly, now these bitches going insane. Got a problem? Better get back.